Well, this is it, kids. We're heading into the last big weekend of fantasy drafts, Labor Day weekend, and we know what you're looking for. We're going to give you some back half of your draft, talent-based sleepers who might not pay off week one. You're probably not going to start them week one, but we think have the ability to pan out if things go their way because, well, I think they're pretty good at football. Let me just say, if you've been following along with the channel, you know Dion Lewis and Nyheim Hines would be on this list for sure, as would Dante Pettis. All three are flag players of mine. Go have a look at the flag player video. Flag means good. So they're among my favorite sleepers for 2019. But you don't need another video on those guys. So let's do 5 other names to consider in 12-team leagues. And I'm switching this up a little bit from the podcast for maximum film breakdown interest. Let's start with a perennial favorite of mine. Finishes a top 30 fantasy wideout last year, Sterling Shepard. He barely qualifies here on Fantasy Football Calculator. He's at 9th round standard, very tail end of the 8th in PPR, the borderline, almost exactly the halfway point in your draft. So give me this one. And in all the cases of the guys I'm going to talk about today, I'm trying to take the common perception of situation out of the mix because we are bad at being definite about situations. The Browns were projected for 5 wins in 2018. The Packers were projected for 10 wins. The Raiders were projected for 8. To decide, we know that the Giants can't throw effectively enough to make Shepard useful before a snap is taken. I think it's a little close-minded, especially when he doesn't cost you a starting pick. This catch won a game last year for New York, less than a minute to play. Shepard has concentration drops, for sure, but he can also just be crazy spectacular attacking the ball, snatching a touchdown when his team needs it. Need more hands? Here's more hands. Again, not saying Giant fans don't have a good case when they question Shepard's concentration, but he's heading into year 4, and if he puts it together, this kind of ability is potentially on display every week. Is he just a slot receiver? I mean, maybe. We can't legislate usage. Golden Tate being there could change things, but for my fantasy bench, I'm interested in guys who can make moves like this. He's little, but he's dang quick. And as we see here against the Falcons, slot doesn't always translate to conservative. He's very quick for a lesser defensive back to even play press man against. And Shepard, he can certainly make a play in the air if he gets a chance. I am okay with Shepard in the 7th, let alone 8th or 9th. Quick break to thank BetDSI for sponsoring us today. We're less than a week away from football that counts. Do you have an online sportsbook where you can play the point spreads? My online book is BetDSI. I've had an account there for more than 4 years. I really recommend them. It's fun to have a place to make a wager, especially since you know you'll be watching the games anyway. We've got 2 promo codes to sign up with. Go to BetDSI.com. If you're a regular player, use the code HarrisTube. They'll match 100% of your deposit. If you're a newer player, maybe you want to try a couple of bets and then cash out, use HarrisTube5, and they'll match 5% of your deposit with no extra volume requirements to cash out. Either way, it's really fun. BetDSI.com. Okay, back at it with some second half of your draft sleepers, and I'll say Justin Jackson of the Chargers. Now, obviously, situation is factoring in this pick. Jackson doesn't have a ton of appeal if Melvin Gordon is signed by the time you're watching this. I think the market's a little high on Austin Eckler and correspondingly a little low on Justin Jackson. And I say that because Jackson is really pretty good. In fact, you tell me who he looks like against the Cardinals on this play. Pitch out left, scoot to the outside, make a hard 2-footed cut that isn't super elite, but certainly makes a safety completely whiff on the tackle. To me, looks like Austin Eckler. That 2-footed jump cut at full speed that really sends defenders flying became kind of a signature for Jackson as a rookie late in the year when Melvin Gordon was out, and also when he actually replaced Eckler in the starting lineup a couple times late in the season. You're seeing a lot of room to run, which tends to be when Eckler does his best work as well. It's when most guys do their best work, but you can get that same Eckler-esque just sort of frenzy of just running really hard until you can't run hard anymore. In neither guy's case do I think that this running style holds up great over a full season for smaller players. Honestly, I kind of think they're carbon copy third down backs, but one of them's going in the 5th round and the other in the 11th. I think I'll take the one in the 11th. Next sleeper, number 3, counting them down, I have Courtland Sutton of the Broncos, second-year receiver. Probably a little too raw to be relied upon right in week 1, especially because I'm such a big fan of Emmanuel Sanders' talent. But there are whiffs, there's an aroma of future number 1 receiver emanating from Sutton's rookie year game film. This is a trick play where Sanders is the one who throws it to Sutton, but I remember perking up when I watched it on film. That sort of smoothness to go up and get it on an overthrown ball and kind of make it look like it's no big deal. I mean, that doesn't mean he can run a great route yet, but it's an early indication of a little wow. Again, for a young kid, raw out of SMU, what you're looking for are flashes that he can convert elite size into something athletic, something that pops on film. Here, he runs a 9 route, but he uses his body, he fights off press coverage, he pushes away from a grabby defender, and yeah, again, really good raw ball skills. And then there's whatever this nonsense is from the same game. Maybe a lucky catch, I get that, but still, I mean, it's a pretty great catch. It adds up to a young player who definitely had not figured it out last year, plus battled injury. But if we're talking 11th round, if we're talking 12th round, I think it's a chance worth taking. And again, don't tell yourself, oh no, Joe Flacco can't make him useful. Instead, tell yourself, take a chance on a good player, a good prospect, and if the situation does wind up untenable, you deal with it then, once you know for sure. At number 2, now, if I'm taking a later round running back, it's likelier to be Lewis or Hines, but I've already done their film. So let's talk Mike Davis, pictured here with the Seahawks, but actually now with the Bears. And yes, it's not a good depth chart for him. Tariq Cohen, David Montgomery. Davis will sit around the bottom of your roster for a while if you do take him late. But I don't mind that because he's pretty good. In terms of agility, listen, Davis isn't Justin Jackson. He's not Austin Eckler or Lewis or Hines. But he's also bigger than those guys. And the first cutback on this run as he approaches the line, it's good. It's not amazing. It gets him in the clear. And the second cut, sort of bad defense. He's kind of cutting against air. Chances are you've heard some fantasy expert tell you, well, Mike Davis, 34 catches, he'd be a Tariq Cohen replacement. Well, I'm not saying as a ball carrier he's amazing, but I'd put him at least in the same category as budget Noshan Moreno as a runner. So if there were a David Montgomery injury or maybe just a missed blitz pickup or a bunch of fumbling from the rookie, Mike Davis could get involved. Bigger than you think, good vision, can make a 2-footed cut. Maybe another comparison is like good young Alfred Morris, but the ability to catch it a little bit. We don't know how things are going to work out in Chicago. I don't hate a 2-week stint on your bench for Davis just to see if the team really does completely trust David Montgomery and if that kid earns the trust as we go forward. Because is Davis a star if someone in front of him gets hurt or benched? I would say likely not, but he could handle work pretty much on any down you ask him to, and he's free in the last round of your draft. And my number 1 sleeper on today's list anyway, Corey Davis, because again, trying to take the impending doom, the certain doom of the Titans offense out of being the major evaluation factor. We don't know. Marcus Mariota hasn't been healthy in a long time. Maybe it works out okay. Last year, going into the season, nobody was calling the Titans a total offensive train wreck. And maybe we could say Mariota got hurt week 1, hurt his elbow, and was never right the rest of the year. So maybe last year isn't a reflection of what will happen in 2019. Do I fully believe that? No, but that's why I wouldn't take Corey Davis in the 5th round or the 6th round. But you're telling me I can get him in the 10th? Like all these guys today, a risk worth taking. At his best, we've been showing you out and up at 6'3", 209 that works, gets him open. You want a taste of size? You want a taste of strength? Yeah, maybe don't try and tackle Corey Davis without leverage. Now, I wish I saw more of this kind of nastiness. It was a hard team to be a receiver on last year because the quarterback play was bad. But if the quarterback play suddenly isn't bad, we could get more of this. And the Patriots knew what was up. They put Stephon Gilmore on Davis a bunch, and Davis certainly wins this matchup. Again, looking like a dude who was just on the cusp of putting it all together, fast enough to break away from Gilmore, strong enough to fight off pass interference, coordinated enough to make the catch. If he's my fifth receiver on a fantasy team, I like that upside. So there are some names as your fantasy drafts finally arrive over Labor Day weekend. You can always check out my ranks at harrisfootball.com. You'll notice these guys and several others stand out in the later rounds. The investment is small, the payoff could be nice, or alternately, because you took a shot on some talent without the perfect situation, you could easily move on if you're not getting good enough results. Who do you like in the double-digit rounds? Who do you keep winding up with in mock drafts? Tell us down in the comments, and have a great time drafting this weekend.